Sūrat Al-Layl is the 92nd surah of the Qur'an, containing 21 āyāt. This surah is one of the first 10 to be revealed in Mecca. It contrasts two types of people, the charitable and the miserly, and describes each of the characteristics. Date of the revelations. Sūrat Al-Layl is a Meccan surah, and was among the first 10 surahs to be revealed. Meccan surahs are chronologically earlier surahs that were revealed to the Prophet Muhammad at Mecca before the Hijrah to Medina in 622 CE. They are typically shorter, with relatively short āyāt, and mostly come near the end of the Qur'an's 114 sūrah. Most of the surahs containing Mecca are Meccan. According to Yusuf Ali, Al-Lail may be placed in the dating period close to Sūrat al-Fajr and Ad-Du'a. It is similar in subject matter to the chapter preceding it, Ash-Shams. Theme and subject matter. The Mufassirun note a similarity that in all of the aforementioned three surahs the wonder and contrast between night and day are appealed to for the consolation of man in his spiritual yearning, according to an interpretation expounded on in the tafsir written by Sayyid Al-Layl Mawjudi entitled Tafhim al-Qur'an. The primary theme of Sūrat Al-Layl is distinguishing between two different ways of life and explaining the contrast between their ultimate ends and results. Sayyid Qutb, who was an Egyptian author, Islamist, and leading intellectual of the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood, surmised the overall theme of Sūrat Al-Layl in the introduction to his extensive Quranic commentary, Faisal al-Quran, by saying, within a framework of scenes taken from the universe and the realm of human nature, this surah states emphatically the basic facts of action and reward. This issue had diverse aspects. The end in the hereafter is also varied, according to the type of action and the direction taken in this life. The subject matter of the surah, i.e. action and reward, is by nature double-directional, so the framework chosen for it at the beginning of the surah is of dual coloring. It is based on contrasting aspects in the creation of man and the universe. Sayyid Qutb, Faisal al-Quran. According to an account from the book A Comprehensive Commentary on the Quran, translated by George Sale, Jalal ad-Din as-Suyuti, co-author of the classical Sunni tafsir known as Tafsir al-Jalalain, had speculated that this whole description belongs peculiarly to Abu Bakr, for when he had purchased Bilal ibn Rabah, the Ethiopian, who had been put to the rack on account of his faith, the infidels said he did it only out of a view of interest, upon which this passage was revealed. However, the style and language of this chapter are against this explanation. It is best, therefore, to regard the whole as addressed to Muhammad's hearers generally. In his book The Qur'an, William Muir classifies Al-Layl in a Quranic subcategory known as the soliloquies, a literary form of discourse in which Muhammad talks to himself or reveals his thoughts without addressing a listener. However, Sale argues that this surah seems to be ruled out of the category by the statements of Āyāt 14 where Muhammad appears as a warner, and therefore is entered upon his public ministry. Regarding subject matter, Sayyid Mawjudi suggests this surah can generally be divided into two parts, the first consisting of Āyāt 1 through 11, and the second of Āyāt 12 through 21. Sūrat Al-Layl 92-1-11. Allah begins this chapter by swearing a series of oaths, by the night when it envelops the world, by the day when it illuminates, and, finally, by himself who has created the male and female. Evidence of these three things are invoked to illustrate how the aims and activities engaged in by both individuals and nations are, in respect to the moral nature, widely divergent. The verse 92-3 literally means, consider that which has created the male and the female, The elements which are responsible for the differentiation between male and female. This, together with the symbolism of night and day, darkness and light, is an allusion, similar to the first 10 verses of the preceding surah, to the polarity evident in all nature and, hence, to the dichotomy which characterizes man's aims and motives. Following a style common to the brief chapters, 3 opposing moral characteristics are presented as illustrations, providing a means from which mankind may judge which of the 2 lifestyles is being represented. 92 to 1 War Al-Layl Idha Yasha by the night as it envelops. 92 to 2 War Nafari Idha Tajalla by the day as it appears. 92 to 3 War Markalakadh Dakara War El-Untha, and he who created the male and female traits characterizing the first type of individuals are distinguished here by 3 signs: sacrificing the wealth, adopting taqwa, and recognizing and supporting all that is morally correct. Al-Husna. The second character type described in verses 8 through 10 are also distinguished by 3 signs. They are miserly and do not give of the wealth, they are arrogant and think themselves independent of Allah's will, and knowingly dishonoring truth out of spite, or seeing ugliness where there is beauty. Then, it is stated that these 2 modes of action, which are clearly divergent, cannot be equal and alike in respect to results, i.e., just as they are divergent in the nature, so they are divergent in the results. Narrated Ali ibn Abi Talib, we were in the company of the Prophet in a funeral procession at Baqi al-Gharqad. He said, "There is none of you but has his place written for him in paradise or in the hellfire." They said, "O Allah's Apostle, shall we depend?" He said, "Carry on doing, for everybody will find it easy to do." Then he recited, "As for him who gives and keeps his duty to Allah and believes in the best reward from Allah, so we will make smooth for him the path of ease, but he who is a greedy miser, for him the path for evil." In verse 7, humans are told if they strive their utmost towards Allah, that He will provide every help and satisfaction to a state of ease. People adopting the first mode of action are promised by Allah that He will make correct behavior easy for them, to such an extent that doing good becomes easy and doing evil difficult. On the contrary, those adopting the second mode of life, Allah will make the path difficult in this world and in the hereafter. Consequently, performing evil actions will become easy, while doing good becomes increasingly difficult. Ibn Kathir further extrapolated on this concept. It is a frequently repeated subject of the Quran that every good deed is recompensed, and that one who intends to do good deeds is given the opportunity to do it, and anyone who intends to do evil deeds is led to it. There are many ahadith that support this assertion. Once Abu Bakr asked the Prophet, "Are our deeds foreordained or originated by us?" The Prophet said, "They are rather foreordained." Abu Bakr said, "Then what is the use of our efforts?" The Prophet then said, "Each proceeds easily towards that for which he was created." Ibn Kathir, Tafsir Ibn Kathir. Thus, the first part of the surah ends having made clear that there are only 2 ways for all mankind in all times and places. All humanity is in 2 parties under 2 headings, however numerous of the colors and forms. Surah Al-Layl 92 to 12-21. In the next part of this surah, another 3 truths are stated. First, verse 12 says that Allah has not left man uninformed in the world, but has assumed responsibility for clearly showing humanity the halal and haram. Another interpretation given to verse 12 is that whoever takes the path of guidance will reach us. 92 to 12 Inna Al-Layl al-Huda. Lo, so. Ours it is the guidance regarding this same verse. Qatada ibn al-Nu'man said, truly, on us is guidance. This means, we will explain what is lawful and what is prohibited. Others have said that it means, whoever traverses upon the path of guidance, then he will reach Allah. They consider this ayat like Allah's saying, and upon Allah is the responsibility to explain the straight path. Quote, this has been mentioned by Ibn Jarrah. 92-13 wa inna lana al-Layl, akiratu al-Ula, and truly, unto us the last and the first. Second verse 13 contends that Allah alone is the master of both this world and the hereafter. If an individual seeks worldly goods, only Allah controls whether or not it will be received. Likewise, for those seeking the hereafter, once again it is Allah who will provide. Now, it is up to the individual to decide what should be sought. The third truth is that the wretched ones who rejected the truth when Muhammad invited them to Islam have a blazing fire awaiting them. The term used for them in verse 15 is ashqa. Ibn Kathir includes a hadith related to this type of person. Ahmad ibn Hanbal reported Muhammad as saying, only wretched people will go to hell. Quote, when asked, who is the wretched, he said, one who disobeys and does not refrain from evil out of fear of Allah. Imam Ahmad recorded from Abu Hurairah that Muhammad said, all of my followers will enter paradise on the day of judgment except for whoever refuses. Quote, they said, who would refuse, O Messenger of Allah? He replied, whoever obeys me, he will enter paradise, and whoever disobeys me, then he has refused. 92-18 Al-Adi malahu yatazaka. Those who spend the wealth for increase in self-purification. The spending may be for charity, or for good works, such as advancing the cause of knowledge or science, or supporting ideals. Wealth must be understood not only for money or material goods, but also any advantage or opportunity which a man happens to enjoy, and which he can place at the service of others. The Arabic root word zakah implies both increase and purification, and both meanings may be understood to be implied here. The word tazkiyah is the transitive verbal noun of zakah. Islahi defines it as the purification of something from adulterance, its growth and development to bring it to the height of its perfection. The word zakat also comes from this same root. Al-Asfahani states that it is called zakat because the person who gives it hopes for blessings, or he hopes to purify his soul for both of these aspects. Yusuf Ali adds that wealth is not for selfish enjoyment or idle show. It is held on trust and may be a trial in itself. The root sidq has several derivatives. The verb sadaqah with respect to statements means to accept and realize. The verb tasadaqah with respect to funds means gave away, realizing his faith by action. And the verb asdaqah means to give dowry in marriage to women. The meaning of sadaqah is derived from the root sidq because sadaqah implies giving away goods and funds for the sake of Allah in expression of faithfulness and in realization of the belief in resurrection and afterlife. It is for that reason the Qur'an associated giving with affirmation of faith and withholding with rejection of faith. Allah says, "He who gives in charity and fears Allah and in all sincerity testifies to the best, we will indeed make smooth for him the path to bliss. But who is a greedy miser and thinks himself self-sufficient and gives lies to the best, we will indeed make smooth for him the path to misery." Quote, Sadaqah is thus an indication of truthfulness in faith and sincere belief in the Day of Judgment. Accordingly, the Messenger of Allah said Sadaqah is a proof. 92-20 Al-Btigha Waji Rabbi Al-Layl but only the desire to seek for the countenance of the Lord Most High. 92-21 Wireless or Fiyada. He verily will be content. As for the God-fearing person who spends the wealth in a good cause, for increase in self-purification, without any selfish motive, only desiring the face of the Lord Most High, Allah will be pleased with him and he will be satisfied. This face or countenance implies good pleasure or approval, but it also implies something more. It also means the cause, either the final cause or the efficient cause of Aristotelian philosophy, for the ATQA would refer everything backwards in origin and forwards in destiny to Allah. Allah is the source of the goodness, as well as its goal or purpose. Asbab al-Nuzul. Asbab al-Nuzul is a secondary genre of Quranic exegesis directed at establishing the context in which specific verses of the Quran were revealed. Though of some use in reconstructing the Quran's historicity, Asbab is by nature an exegetical rather than a historiographical genre, and as such usually associates the verses it explicates with general situations rather than specific events. Most of the Mufassirun say that verses 17 through 21 were revealed about Abu Bakr Siddiq. Some claim a consensus on this, although the statements are general. Ibn Kathir states that Abu Bakr had a special status among the Sahaba. He helped all the people who sought his help and he was well known for this. On the eve of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, when Abu Bakr showed his anger and chastised Urwa bin Mas'ud, chief of the Thaqif tribe, Urwa told him, "Had I not been under an obligation to you, I would have answered you of the same king." Additions to Sūrat Al-Lail. Following the death of Muhammad in 632 CE, it was alleged that the phrase, "Him who created," was added to verse 92-3. One narrator of this controversy was Abdullah bin Mas'ud, a Sahabi who was clearly acknowledged in several hadith as an authority regarding Quranic matters. However, according to the following hadith related in Sahih al-Bukhari, the phrase "by him who created" is considered an addition to the original text that some like Ibn Mas'ud said should not be there. 92-3 Wa ma khalaqadh untha by the creation of male and female. Narrated Ibrahim. The companions of Abdullah came to Abu Darda. He looked for them and found them. Then he asked them, "Who are among you can recite as Abdullah recites it?" They replied, "All of us." He asked, "Who are among you knows it by heart?" They pointed at Alqamah. Then he asked Alqamah, "How did you hear Abdullah bin Mas'ud reciting Sūrat Al-Layl?" Alqamah recited, "By the male and the female." Abu ad-Darda said, "I testify that I heard my Prophet reciting it likewise, but these people want me to recite it, and by him who created male and female. But by Allah, I will not follow them." Narrated Alqamah. Abu Darda further asked, "How does Abdullah recite the surah starting with, 'By the night as it conceals'?" Then I recited before him, "By the night as it envelops, and by the day as it appears in brightness, and by male and female." On this Abu Darda said, "By Allah, the Prophet made me recite the surah in this way while I was listening to him." Narrated Alqamah. I went to Sham and was offering a 2-rak'ah prayer. I said, "O Allah, bless me with a companion." Then I saw an old man coming towards me, and when he came near I said, "I hope Allah has given me my request." The man asked, "Where are you from?" I replied, "I am from the people of Kufa." He said, "Wasn't there amongst you the carrier of the shoes, silk and the ablution water container? Wasn't there amongst you the man who was given Allah's refuge from Satan? And weren't there amongst you the man who used to keep the secrets which nobody else knew?" How did Ibn Abd used to recite Sūrat Al-Layl? I recited, "By the night as it envelops, by the day as it appears in brightness." and by male and female. On that, Abu Darda said, "By Allah, the Prophet made me read the verse in this way after listening to him. But these people tried their best to let me say something different." Special traits of Sūrat al-Layl. Many ahadith have been related concerning the spiritual benefits associated with Sūrat al-Layl. Muhammad is reported to have said that the reward of reciting this surah is so much that the one who recites it will be pleased when he sees it in his book of deeds. His inspiration of good deeds will also increase. If recited 15 times before sleeping, one will dream about what pleases him most. Reciting it in the Sūrat carries the reward of completing a quarter of the Qur'an and is guaranteed that the prayers are accepted. The sixth Shia Imam, Jafar as-Sadiq, has said that the person who recites Surah Ash-Shams, Al-Lail, Ad-Du'a and Al-Inshirah will, on the Day of Judgment, find all creatures of the earth testifying on his behalf, and Allah will accept their testimony and give him a place in Jannah. Recitation of this surah also leads to an increase in sustenance, courage and popularity amongst the people. Sūrat al-Layl and the Imam.It. The Shiite perspective on certain verses in Sūrat al-Layl is mentioned in the book Imam.It and Leadership by Mujtaba Musavi Lari. According to Shiite Muslims, the task of the Imam is guiding men and demonstrating to them the path that will lead them to happiness. That being the case, the only right path for selecting the Imam is the same as that which the Quran spells out for the prophets. It is indeed incumbent on us to guide mankind, for the kingdom of this world and the hereafter is ours. Thus, just as Muhammad is appointed from Allah, the Quranic verses point to the fact that appointment of the Imam also is from Allah, as the Imam's appointment is primarily concerned with the covenant of Allah as well as with the function of guiding people to the right path. In this context, Abu Ali al-Husayn ibn Abdallah ibn Sina says, the Imam should be infallible and highly virtuous, since it is not possible for an ordinary person to know such spiritual and intellectual characteristics in man, and even if he knows something of it, he knows it in a defective way or through the aid of signs. Thus it is evident that the appointment of the Imam should come from Allah, as he alone knows all the secrets of human beings and the unseen matters, as well as things which are of good value to us.